Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in 3 different tanks. Now these are the tanks that you can earn in the Earn Your Legend challenge, and that is the Demolisher T28, the Minotaur KV-5 and the IS-6 Black. Now this earn up, they probably, well for 2 of them anyway, for the Crimson Steel and the Cold Steel tanks, they probably picked the worst of the bunch, or the worst of the 3 of those versions of the tanks that you can earn, and you can only earn one of them. So before I go on about the tanks, let's go into what you have to do to be able to earn one of these tanks, and you can only earn one. That's key detail, okay? So you have to deal an assist in 1,000 total damage 300 times. Pretty much. So for most people, it'll take you about 300 battles. I'd always advise you to play something like the Object 268 version 5, or high alpha TDs or high alpha tanks in general, because it'll make it easier for you to complete that challenge, because it's literally just pen 2 shots and you've completed that requirement pretty much. It's not a hard earn up, and you can earn one of the 3 tanks. Now, like I say, the Cold Steel tanks, which is the T28 Demolisher that you're seeing right now, this is the worst of the 3 of the Cold Steel tanks, because you've got the Eradicator, which is the best of the 3, absolutely fantastic tank. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Now, I can understand why they might not want to give that away for free and let everyone have it. The Earthshaker, STRV 102, I think it is. The Earthshaker, anyway, which is basically Centurion with the same gun that the Dragon gets, the L7, but at tier 8. And that is a fantastic tank again. It's just a little bit sluggish, but it's great to have that turret armour with that great gun. And then you've got this tank. And this tank is disappointing. I wouldn't call it horrendous, but I'd just call it disappointing. It has a great reload on this autoloader, but it has the 105 from the T28 prototype. And the T28 prototype was a lovely tank to play for me. I really enjoyed it, because the 120mm gun it got was incredible. This gun, however, is not that great. The shell velocity is a little bit slow. The 198 pen is disappointing. I wish they'd given it 200, or they'd buffed it in the Tanks Reforged, or when they did all the American tanks, and they buffed the 105 on most of the other tanks to 218 pen. They didn't do that with the Demolisher. They left it alone and left it at 198 pen, and 198 pen is very disappointing. It's alright for a matchup like this that you're seeing right now, but when you're getting into tier 10 games, it's just incredibly, disappointing. As well as that, the fact that you've got basically no mobility, and armour that's supposed to be good, but it's not at all. It just doesn't hold up in tier 10 games. It barely holds up in tier 9 games, and even in tier 8 games, it doesn't really hold up that much anymore. It just makes for a little bit of a sad tank, and I really couldn't recommend picking this one. Out of the 3, I'd definitely pick the IS-6 Black, but we'll go into that when we get to that tank. For this one, the only reason I'd say to pick this one is the fact that it gets 75% crew bonus. So this tank is an absolutely incredible crew trainer. Same as all the other Cold Steel tanks. This, the Eradicator and the Earthshaker are unbelievable crew trainers. You put this with one of those 130% bonus XP crews that we've got from like season passes and stuff, you can blitz through to the 9 skills incredibly easily, especially if you put on like 6 times crew boosters and that, and we're getting tons of those again via the season passes. And that is a strength of the tank, but in terms of actually playing it, yeah, it's not that fun, to be honest. So what do I run in terms of equipment? Well, on this tank, in terms of equipment, I run the traction system to give it better track traverse, which is horrendous track traverse on this tank, to give it 10% better track traverse and 3 kilometers an hour extra top speed. Makes it go at 33. It does reach 33 quite reasonably easily, and it does make a difference in terms of the track traverse. The track traverse is pretty poor, and that 10% extra is a nice thing to have. In terms of the crew that I run on this tank, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Trap Mechanic, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, and the Camouflage Expertise. Now, the other thing that I would say is you could possibly drop the Camouflage Expertise and run Smooth Ride or Clutch Braking to just help the track traverse or the terrain resistances. But it does have a decent camo rating for saying it's more of an assault tank, so you can help it a little bit out with the Camouflage Expertise. Now with the tank there, with the armour, you saw just how disappointing it can be. The STG just auto-aimed a shot straight through our upper plate, which should be our strongest point of our armour, but it's just not. And sadly, he penned that, but he did manage to get shut down. We managed to get a whole clip into it, and we got saved by our friend who managed to shut the SDG down, although we would have been reloaded by the time the SDG got back round. Now we've got this creature in front of us. Like I say, you're seeing how quick the reload is. The reload is really, really damn fast for this 105 for 3 shots for 320 alpha. You know, you've got a 960 clip potential, and you reload in like 18 seconds. It's really, really good. The intra clip, however, is a little bit slow. You do feel like you're waiting around a little bit with it, and it feels like with the alpha it's got on it, it should be like bang, 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 and it's, you know, it's getting the damage out. Fairly similar to a Ragnarok, which has similar alpha. But it is what it is. And we managed, you know, 2.5 seconds is quite long. Like, maybe 2.2 or 2 seconds would have been better for this tank. It would have suited the autoloader a little bit better. But we managed to snap the shot into the creature and finish him off, anyway. I did take a risk there by turning around, because I saw where the last lot of damage was on the enemy team. 2 medium tanks that were towards our base, and the Brumbar that just got shut down by the Goronich. I saw that they were towards the base, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave this creature alone. If he decides to poke out, I'll get shots at him with my turret pointing over the back, because obviously that is the thing with the T28 prototype, is that the turret doesn't traverse the whole way round. If you go all the way to the left, you have to come back all the way back to the front to go to the right again. It's limited in its turret traverse like that, and it can make it awkward, and you did see that when we were fighting the STG2 as well. So we're going to try and get some elevation, because we need the elevation to be able to fight. Well, I'd say to be able to get some shots at these guys. We get 1 into the Chieftain T95, 2, hoping for the 3rd, and unfortunately as the shell goes in, he gets shut down by the King Dragon. That's really unfortunate timing. And we know exactly where the other one is. He's spotted on the map right now, and we're just waiting for the reload. Hopefully we get a shot at him, but unfortunately he's just positioned himself behind the house, which means we can't get a shot at him. But the equaliser finishes him off. And we finished that game with 4.8k damage, 250 assistance. And it was a nice game for the T28 prototype. It wasn't really threatened, but generally it's an assault tank that can't do assault, because the armour just doesn't hold up. And it really does struggle. Tier 10 games, Tier 9 games, it's just painful. It's very, very painful, which is why it really only shines when you're top tier. And another tank that really only truly shines when it's top tier, and we're playing it bottom tier, and this is the Minotaur KV-5. Now the Minotaur KV-5, well, at the minute you can earn the actual KV-5, the Goronich, in the Monsters Awakened earn-up, same as you can do every year at Halloween. And I'd recommend you just get the Goronich and pick up the IS-6 Black in this earn-up, just avoid the KV-5. Because this Minotaur has only 1 strength, and that is the fact that it makes 75% extra bonus credits. This is an absolute this silver earner is fantastic at it. Makes so much credits, it's great. But you could do that in Cold War if you play Cold War. I mean, I don't, but you could. You could make tons in Cold War and just ignore this tank. Or you could do what's happening at the minute as well, which is that the Ragnarok is on sale, and the Hydra. They're now on sale because it's November. It's, you know, we're getting towards Black Friday. They tend to sell those tanks then. They're better credit makers than this, because they tend to get around, do more damage, and survive for longer. So you could just go pick up at them on discount. Just completely avoid this tank. Because honestly, this tank is a pref tank that they took the pref off, gave it the KV-4 gun, and buffed the armour on it. And the armour still gets laughed at. It can bounce the odd shell here and there, and it's especially good at bouncing shells against people that have no idea how to take on a KV-5. But unfortunately, that doesn't save it in most occasions. You have to really hope that you face people that are clueless and people don't really look at you. Add to that the fact that the mobility on the tank is a little bit, it's just not that great. And yeah, it can be a painful tank to use. So in terms of the crew that I do run on this tank, I run Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Born Leader, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Track Mechanic, and Rapid Aim. Now I run the same crew on the IS-6 Black as well, so I'm not going to show that again on the IS-6 Black, but I do run the same crew. And it's one that I run because I want Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, because the turret traverse is slow, and it helps just to keep up with tanks that are a little bit faster than you that try and manoeuvre around you. And then all the gun pokes, because the gun isn't the best, so you want to make it so it's more accurate as we bounce off of the upper plate of the i7 when aimed at the lower plate. So yeah, that's why I run those perks on this tank. In terms of equipment as well, I do run rammer, vert stabs and optics, because you need to make your DPM better, because it's a fairly slow reload for 320 alpha, and you want to make it more accurate, because it is a fairly derpy gun, so making it 20% more accurate with the vert stabs is great. And it's fairly blind, so you want to make it so that you can actually see tanks with the optics. That's why I run those things. So right now I'm looking at possibly going after the guys around the corner, but I think no, my team are already there. I want to try and get up here and get shots into the rear and that of the tanks in the middle. So I'm thinking, right, okay, let's get there. And we're just trundling, and we're just a little bit too slow. And I'm right, okay, I can get the E50, and I won't aim onto the E50's back end. And unfortunately, we just clip a rock as we get the gun down onto him, so we end up putting the gun straight up, and we miss the shot on him. Sad moment, unfortunate timing, it is what it is. So now we're going to charge down. We've got this Yag Tiger in front of us, and I'm kind of like, right, well, he's probably going to get a shot into me here. I'm just going to take it and get some shots into his lower plate. We get a nice shot into his tracks as he's turning, which means that people start to farm him, and we get all the tracking assist on him. A nice shot in the end to get that tracking. It was nice of him to angle to give it to us, but we realise where the main threat is. The main threat is in our base. We have to get back to defend it, because they're about to plough straight into it. They've clearly gone across the bridge, and they're coming up from behind from the ice road. So we've got to get into there to defend against it, basically. We've got to get there to reset. Luckily for us, we've got two guys on the hill, which means that they can keep resetting the base to try and save it, because, well, they've got three in there, and it doesn't take long to cap. But fortunately enough, like I said, they can stay hull down. They can keep popping shots in every now and then, and that'll give us the time to actually manage to trundle along into the cap. Because like you see what I'm saying, it does feel just that little bit slow. I mean, we're on flat ground at the minute, and we're just currently struggling to keep between 30 and 32. And it's just that sluggishness mixed with armour that doesn't work particularly that well, paired with not the best DPM and a gun that's fairly derpy. It's just a pain in the bum to play this tank at times. So we've got to the cap, and we get a nice shot into the rear of the Paladin, who's currently distracted. And now I shut down the brass, because we want to get rid of the guns. We need to... that ISU-152, sorry. We need to try and keep the cap getting reset. Now I pull out forward there, aggressively, like basically sideways on in front of them, because I realise that they've still got a lot of cap points in there, and it is the 268 version 5. Now I'm completely ignoring the Andre at the minute, because my team is so focused on these two guys on my right that I'm like, right, well, I'm not going to be able to deal with the Andre by myself. I need to help get rid of these two guys that they're so focused on, because then they'll actually pay attention to the Andre as their CGC gets a Bombardiers. Now we get round to the side of the Andre, we auto-aim a shot on, but because we're so tall and we've only got like 5 degrees of gun depression, we end up ricocheting off the upper bit of his hull, and it just ricochets off. Sad, but it is what it is. But I am going to cut the replay here and end up taking us to the end screen, because it's like 2.5, 3 minutes of driving, pointless driving. I'm saving you from it and saving myself from rewatching it. We're finished with the Ace Tanker, the Defender Medal, 1832 base XP, 3.1k damage, 2k assists, that's 5k combined. Decent game for the Minotaur, and it was bottom tier. The Andre did fail to pen us, because I feel like he panicked. Because we just closed the best thing to do sometimes when you're in a tank that's heavily armoured and you're facing against someone like that is to close the distance. Close the distance, try and panic them a little bit, because he could have quite easily penned me. If he'd shot my droid, which tier 8s will struggle with, because the Minotaur's droid is buffed compared to the KV-5s, he still could have penned the droid, because tier 10s don't really struggle that much with it. But like I say, if he'd been thinking, he could have probably penned my cupola as well on top of the tank. And he didn't. He just sort of auto-aim panicked the shot into my turret front, which again is buffed from the standard KV-5, and he bounced. But like I said, the only real benefit to the KV-5 Minotaur is the fact that its credit earning potential is, you know, so good. But yeah, you can just go buy the Hydra or the Ragnarok, to be honest, and make more credits and have a lot more fun. So we're on to the last replay. And I'll save the best till last. And this is the IS-6. Now, the IS-6 recently received some buffs in one of the tanks reforged. I actually think it was the Blitzkrieg one, the one where they did loads of tanks. And it definitely made it a lot nicer to play. So, what did they buff? They buffed the frontal armour from 100 to 110. Accuracy on movement and rotation was better, 2.3 to 2.1. The frontal turret armour, 150 up to 190. The view range went from 350 to 370. It got more ammo from 30 to 37. The gun mantlet armour also got better, up to 180mm. The accuracy went from 0.46 to 0.42. Aim time from 3.4 to 2.7. And the reload went from 11.7 down to 11. Now, these buffs make this tank really nice to play now. It used to be a painful, painful tank. It's definitely not painful anymore because the armour holds up a lot better than it used to. Especially with the benefit of it being pref, which means you know, you never have to see tier 10s. That's great. The gun hits a lot more. That down to 0.42 and then having the 6.0 accuracy as well makes this gun fantastic. It's really, really nice to use. And the reload is definitely a lot nicer as well. It's just that 0.7 off, adding in with the rammer and the rapid reload, born leader and all that. 8.2 second reload is great. It's really nice. It means you can brawl really effectively. The only downside to the tank, and the one thing that they really needed to buff that they didn't, was the penetration. Because it's still got 175 AP pen and 217 APCR pen. Now in a matchup like this, it doesn't really matter all too much, as we bounce off the tier 6. It doesn't matter all too much. But when you're facing tier 9s, 175 pen is very, very disappointing. And it probably should have had what it has on PC, which is like 186 or something like that. And it would have been a lot nicer to use. But on the whole, like I say, the buffs that they've given this tank, as you're seeing so far, makes the gun a lot more snappier, makes it a lot more accurate for you to use. You can have the Rashada shots more often. And the reload is a lot nicer. It's generally a lot nicer to play, and you do bounce a lot more shells. And I kind of like the IS-6 now. Also, if you already own all 3 tanks, this is the tank you want to get, because I think you get 5 million credits for this tank, which is the most out of all 3. If you were to pick a tank and get credits for it, this is the tank you want to pick if you own all 3. So, this game in the IS-6, Fisherman's Bay, we've managed to get through that brawl. It was a really quick brawl in the town. Just what the IS-6 wants, especially now, better DPM. We've managed to come up onto this top of this ridgeline. We're just trying to flank round, keep the buildings on our right, because, well, we don't want to get shut down by an ISU 130. Unfortunately, the shell velocity let us down there a little bit on the E25, and I didn't lead the shot well enough, and that meant that the shot missed. And now we're going to go in and try and get a shot at the ISU 130 PM as it flies straight in on the move. Rashada! Every time. This Barask fires his last shell at us. And it's like, well, okay then, Barask. We get a nice shot, free-aimed, into the back of his tank. We break his engine. He clearly fixed it straight away. We're just going to wait for the nice reload now to go in. And we shut him down. Now, there's only one tank left. It is an E25. If we find this E25 and keep him frontal facing, he's probably going to bounce on us every time. He's really going to struggle to pen us. Like I said, the armor buffs to this tank definitely make it a lot nicer to play. The extra turret armor is great. That means that if you get hulled down, a lot of the time you're going to bounce quite a few of the shots. The aim time is massive, by the way. I cannot stress to you how good the aim time is compared 3.4 to 2.7. It's so much nicer to use. Generally, the IS-6 is a lot nicer. And I'd say this is the best of the bunch to pick and play. In terms of the equipment, by the way, I run rammer, vert stabs, and optics, same as the Minotaur. So we finished that game with the Ace Tanker. The high caliber, 1900 base XP, 4.2k damage, 2.2k assist, so 6.4k combined. Honestly, the IS-6 Black is a lot nicer to play now with the buffs. This is a tank that I personally would recommend getting out the 3 because it has pref and it's a lot nicer after it's been buffed. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!